Good evening, Washington Middle School families. This is Mrs. Perry, Audrey Perry, to those who, live with me, I guess. This is me. I'm a science teacher. There's my computer that I'm getting to know very well this year. And let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I have been teaching at Washington Middle School science for 16 years. This is year number 16. This is a year like no other, though, as we all know. So I'm doing my best this year, and I know you are too. I got my bachelor's degree in genetics from UC Berkeley back in 2001. I got my master in teaching from Evergreen State College and my master of educational leadership from SPU just a few years ago. And on a slightly less resume note, I am the mother of 3 boys at Lincoln Elementary, and you can sometimes see me around town riding an adult tricycle. So, just saying. The materials and topics that we will be covering this year mainly involve FOSS kits, and that would be true even in the real in-class context. If you want to check it out, there is a link on my Schoology page to fossweb.com. You will need my username, which is Moon Perry, and my password, which is Science1 with a capital S. It is case sensitive. The populations and ecosystems and heredity and adaptations kits are what we start the year with. This is all life science stuff. This really gets to my emphasis in genetics, and it also covers the history of life on Earth and how the diversity of life has evolved through Earth's history. We usually do gravity and kinetic energy, though there's a little bit of a question mark as to whether or not pacing this year, depending on how long we're doing the remote learning thing. So much of gravity and kinetic energy is hands-on, and I can imagine would be a little hard to do. And if due to pacing issues we have to cut some stuff, this might be the thing that goes, because we really want to get to planetary science. Planetary science is fun, it's interesting, it's important, and bits of it, certainly better than gravity and kinetic energy, lend itself okay to distance teaching. We taught this in the spring last year, and I thought it went reasonably well, and I think I would do even better at it this time around. So, yeah. As far as grades go, my favorite subject. In Skyward, you'll see it broken down into 3 categories. Performance is 75% of the grade, and that's basically tests. 25% of it is effort, and there's a 0% category for evaluation. The purpose of that is just for me to have a place where I can provide formative feedback. You can see how well you're doing on something, and there's really no risk if you didn't get it. The whole point of it was to show you that you didn't get it and to give you an opportunity to figure that out and ask questions. So. Effort assignments are graded on completion. So there's a 0 and 1 point. It's a 1-point scale. Just did you do it or didn't you do it? And see the assignments specifically for any comments. And I randomly choose students for video feedback. This is the rubric that I created for that. Basically here you can see, yep, it's just 0 or 1. You get a 0 if it's incomplete or if it's missing. So if you see it marked in Skyward, there will be a little checkbox that says, hey, this is missing. Otherwise, it will say 0, and there will be a comment that says incomplete. Most of these assignments, the whole point of them is to get students to think, not necessarily to show that they know it yet. It's about learning. The process of science is all about making mistakes and reevaluating your thinking. So it's important to me that students do the assignments. If they're complete, if they followed directions, and it looks to me like they were actually trying, they'll get their 1 point. So 25% of the grade is just doing the work of doing science. Whether or not you get it right away is kind of beside the point. We do that process of building the knowledge in class. However, if something is super late and you're turning it in and it's still super inaccurate, I might hold your feet to the fire a little bit and be like, well, at this point, you should kind of know this stuff. So 0, see comments, try again, resubmit, get a 1. I'll talk more about resubmitting in a little bit. Tests are going to be graded on a 4-point standards-based scale where 3 is standard, 4 is mastery, 2 is you're almost there, and 1 is, well, you got a lot of work to cover. 0 would basically be if you just didn't do it. And that grade scale is in Skyward, but I have a picture of it for your viewing pleasure. A 3 or a 4 would both go into the gradebook as an A, provided you're meeting standard on a standard, you would get an A. If you are getting a 2, that would register as a 50%, and so that would look like a C plus in Skyward. If you got basic, or what we call a 1 out of 4, that will register as a C. So not a huge difference in the actual letter grade there between a C and a C plus, at least not this year. But this is the grade scale that we thought was most equitable to students in this format. If you're not doing anything, that'll register as a 0 and you'd get an incomplete. And as you can see, there's a range of percentages there, and that's just due to the averaging. Where would it fall on that 4-point scale if we were averaging things out? So that is how we grade in science in 8th grade. Grades sync automatically from Schoology. So I will be doing all of the grading in Schoology, which is really handy. The assignment gets submitted and I can see it right away and I can grade it. And the grade book will sync automatically from Schoology when I press a button that says sync. Then I go into Skyward and I enter zeros for all of the missing assignments. However, there is some lag time. I've noticed sometimes several days worth of lag depending on what's up with Schoology. So Schoology is better for knowing what's missing and navigating to missing assignments, and is going to be more up to date. But Skyward letter grades are going to be more accurate because they actually include the zeros for missing assignments, and Schoology doesn't. And let me show you what that looks like between the two different grading systems. So here is a screenshot that I took from just a student grade book. Things that they didn't turn in don't register. So here you can see this first one. This is something that a student turned in. You can tell from the little file that they turned it in, and the 1 out of 1 means they got full credit. Here is an assignment that was not turned in. It has no grade. In Skyward, it would register as 0, but I don't enter zeros in Schoology because there's no easy way to distinguish between a 0 that's missing and a 0 that's incomplete. Down here, you can see what it looks like when a student has turned in an assignment and I just haven't graded it yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. So at least, if you see this, you know that your kid is basically off the hook. They did the work and we're just waiting on me to grade it. Here at the bottom is another assignment that simply was not turned in. The only difference between this one and this one up here is that the second one uses my rubric. That little grid thing means it uses that 1 out of 1 rubric that I use for effort assignments. This one just didn't use that. So yeah, check both places. More up to date on Schoology, but more accurate letter grades in Skyward. Okay, yeah, so this is just a note here that this would show up in Schoology as 100% because everything that's been graded has gotten a 1 out of 1. But if you were looking this up in Skyward, anything that I've graded that they didn't turn in would register as a 0, so this would be 50%. Once I graded this assignment, this would be 67%, but as you can see, very different percentages between Skyward and Schoology. Okay, here is my Schoology page. So main page here, this is what I think students see when they first log into my science class. Starting in the upper left-hand corner here is a button for updates. There's not going to be a lot of updates, and really what you should do is have your notifications set to let you know. It'll email you when there's an update. I think on most student pages there's a button in the upper right-hand corner that's an option for you to choose your notification settings. Make sure you've checked your notification settings because you want to make sure that you're updated when certain things occur. If I post an update, that's something you want to know pretty quickly. So those would be found here once they're in Schoology. Next is the Grades tab. This is what you want to click on to actually get to your students' Schoology grades. So that screen I showed you a minute ago, that's totally from having clicked on that tab right there. Then there's these buttons in my banner. This is the most common button. This is the one students are going to be using to actually get to Zoom class. Here you can see this is for 4th period, so it gives the dates and times that Zoom link is actually got a host in it. Over here, this is a button that links directly to my email. You can use that anytime. Email me, email me, email me. Here is apparently a very ignored button, judging by the number of students that are actually using it at this point. But my office hours, every day, Monday through Friday from 2:45 to 3:15, I am sitting all by myself in a Zoom meeting, hoping someone will come see me and get some help or something. We can also arrange that by appointment if that time frame doesn't quite work for you, but there you go, office hours. If you prefer to send texts rather than email, this is a button that links to Remind. It's not my favorite way of getting in touch with people, but if you like it, it'll get to me and I can contact you back. Next, go back here. Populations and ecosystems. This folder here is where you will find everything for at least the first half of the year. All of the Pop Eco stuff that we do is going to be in that folder. When you click on it, you'll find a whole bunch more folders that are all arranged by week and date, and usually the topic as well. And when you click on that, you would see all of this stuff on the inside. Everything that I post on Monday or Tuesday is going to be listed first. And then there will be another folder that I've stuck in on Thursday, Friday that is everything that's new for the second half of that week. And something nice about this page here is that when it's an assignment, you can see what day it is due. In this case, you can even see that it was submitted. Not all assignments will show that, but I specifically asked for that on this assignment to show me if it was submitted or not. So that's what you'll find in those folders. Next over here, this is a helpful window to be staring at. This tells you what due dates are approaching. Everything that's been assigned that isn't yet due, you will find what day it's due and what time of day it's due. My stuff is always going to be due in that hour just before class. Okay, so how to submit or resubmit work. Most assignments use a submit button that you'll see in the upper right-hand corner once you open an assignment. At least I think that's where the button shows up. The cool thing, though, is that I can actually see a student's work before it's been submitted as long as they've opened it. Once they've opened the assignment, I can see their document, and if they want my help with it, we can look at it at the same time, even though I'm nowhere near you. So that's handy. You don't have to submit it before I can see it. Once you've submitted it, you can make suggestions to it just by going in and changing it however you wanted. Old answers will still be there, but they will be clearly crossed out, and any new work you've done will be highlighted so I can tell what you've added. And you don't even have to tell me that you've done that because Schoology will notify me anytime you change something that's been submitted. And then I will simply go back, look at it, revise grades if necessary, leave new comments, or one or the other, or both. And there are no late penalties because COVID. Just get to it when your technology is working for you. Obviously, the sooner you can get to it, the more up to date you'll be and the more class will make sense. But in terms of grade penalties, there are none. Incomplete work will get a 0, as I mentioned, but there's nothing stopping you from going back in, adding your additions to it. Schoology notifies me, and if you've satisfied me, I will go in and mark it 1 out of 1. So, as far as participation is concerned, please come to Zoom class. It's your best chance to hear stuff explained and ask questions. I try to get you doing a lot of thinking during Zoom class, so you have to think to learn, so it's helpful. You will be muted upon entry, but use the raise hand button if you want to say something. That's better usually than just unmuting yourself and blurting something out, because then there's that awkward period where we talk over one another and all of that. And if maybe more than one person ever wants to speak at a time, I can figure out who's going to go first that way. Also use the chat feature. Some people are really terrified of speaking in a Zoom meeting. I'm actually one of those people, but I do use the chat feature a lot. If you can do it publicly, that's even better. Then other people can see your thinking, but do stay on topic if you're going to use the public chat feature. Otherwise, I have to turn it to chat with host only, and you don't want me to have to do that, but I will. So anyhow, ask questions whenever you have them, and please respond when I ask a question. When I pose a question to the class, either type your answer into the chat or raise your hand or something. But if you engage with me during Zoom class, you'll get so much more out of it. I'll generally want to hold your attention for 20 to 30 minutes, But the Zoom session is open for the full hour. You're expected to get to work on your assignments during that period of time, and I'm there to help you in real time. And if you want to ask a question that you can't really type and you want to say it out loud, just let me know. We'll pull off into a breakout room. I can give you your help. I can even help groups of students in there. And you can share your screen with me and I can see what you're looking at, and it's all super helpful. Regarding the assignments themselves, my expectations are just that you try your best to keep up with the learning activities. They're designed to teach you stuff. They're not just things to check off to say that you did stuff. It's actually like a learning activity. You don't do them, you won't be thinking, and you won't learn as much. Do your best to keep up with that stuff. I know life is life. Come to office hours, email me for help. Please do those things. So like I said, office hours have been very lonely. Keep me company. So just show me that you're doing your best and let me know if you're having trouble. I am here for you. I understand, but I need to know what's going on if I'm to understand what's happening. So just be communicative. Use that email me button. Parents, how to help your student. Skyward is great, but like I mentioned earlier, ask to see their grades in Schoology too. I know the Schoology parent feature does not show grades. As a parent myself, I'm very frustrated by that, but ask them to show you their Schoology grades. Make sure that they know how to find comments on their work. I think I have left comments on all of my students' work so far, so if they haven't seen them, they're not looking. So make sure they know how to find those comments and encourage them to seek help during my Zoom office hours. As far as the home is concerned, it's important that they have a space where they can keep their Chromebook plugged in. Remind them to charge it if they don't have a dedicated outlet. And please keep siblings, pets, and other distractions away from your students during class time to the extent that you can. I know 8th graders are 8th graders and, they love the dog being in their lap while they're having Zoom class. And usually their cameras are off and I can't even tell anyway. That's actually an expectation I should have put in there for Zoom class. If you can, please turn your camera on. You have no idea what it's like feeling like you're teaching to a brick wall. I would love to see your faces and actually see you respond in real time like a human being to the things that are coming out of my mouth hole. Photographs don't respond when I say something funny, and I really need that to feel validated. So, yes, cameras on would be lovely. And ask your students what they're learning about. I know you're in your home all day long, and I forget to do this too as a parent, but tell me what you're doing, kiddo. Have that conversation with them. Maybe they'll even say something, I don't know. My elementary schoolers, it's an uphill battle, but maybe 8th graders are different. Contact me, please. This is how you do that. Email is the best, but you don't even have to memorize my email address. Just find that button on my banner and get in touch with me that way. So there's also office hours and text, emails, my bread and butter. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. Let me know if there's anything I can do. Mwah. Bye now.